Hello, my name is Ilona and it is Monday, December 6th, 2023. I'm making a different video from my Dutch video. They were mainly Dutch topics. There was something going on with a bank here in the Netherlands yesterday. It was Sinterklaas, which is a Dutch tradition, celebration. And a lot of people couldn't find anything on their account anymore. So apparently there was something going on, disturbance going on with a certain bank here. And even I had some issues sending money to, I had to pay something and a certain bill, and it just didn't work out. And there were people that couldn't find anything on their account anymore. So I think it's already been fixed, but it was kind of shocking, especially because of the celebration going on. A lot of people were still buying gifts and things like that, and just didn't happen. Nothing was happening. So the card reading I did was I looked at the energy, and this was really changing the systems. The white hats are changing systems, and it's also to prepare people that this is going to collapse so that people maybe have some cash at home. And I believe that there will be a new system coming, but first the old has to collapse. It could seem like everything is lost and then the new system will come in. That's how I see it. That's my perspective. The other thing I looked at were the holes made in certain dikes. We call them zeerepen. I think it's before the actual dikes, there's this a barrier, and they actually made holes in it, and somebody made a video about that, wondering what was going on, because that's not going to be very efficient when you make holes to protect against the water. And this was deliberately done with the thought of protecting the environment and helping helping nature to create new dunes. That's the thing behind it. The idea, and also helping the environment, because this was all paid for, and this is in more places around the Netherlands, paid for by the provinces from something called Programma Aanpak Stikstof. So this is how to deal with nitrogen. Yes, nitrogen. And we already established there's nothing wrong with nitrogen. So they even are using it to create holes in barriers that should protect us against the water. Yeah. Well, the energy was that this has to do with old pain. Obviously, we've had a tragedy in 1953, which was horrible. And there are more things coming out to protect us, the dikes, that it's even more important not to heighten the dikes, so make them even larger, or the dunes, but to actually protect underneath the dikes and underneath the dunes, because that's the biggest problem. And we have someone who really looked at that. His name is Boomer, Boehmer, and he even talked about this. He's really been working for a long time. It's a combination of southern moon positions that has an effect, of course, on the water, and so the dunes or the dikes will still be up, but underneath it's how do you call that? I don't know the English word right now, but I've known it. But it's like the sand, you just sink in. It's a disaster. One of the first victims actually from the disaster in 1953 wasn't because the water was over the dikes. It was because the water was seeping in underneath, and the land just changed into a swamp. So she just sank in. And that's the biggest problem. So he actually is suggesting placing, trees alongside the dunes, alongside the dikes, and also looking at all the rivers. But of course, a lot of people don't want to look at the rivers, because this could have an effect on the trade on other countries. So that's why the politicians here in the Netherlands are not that interested in changing that. But it's very important that it's coming out, this information. And but the holes are there for the climate, of course, and nitrogen. And I also got that it's not going to be immediately a disaster, but things need to, it probably will need to come out, and that things will change about that. So I'm hoping people will start asking questions also with the provinces, like what is going on? Why are you doing this? And things like that. So I think this will start up a conversation, and I didn't see immediately things happening because of these holes in those barriers. So that's what I got from the Dutch video. And in this video, first I wanted to also mention what I thought was very interesting. On the Dutch television, we have Ongehoord Nederland, and they broadcasted an item on Dutch television about the stinks. They had to be a bit political about it because certain things they couldn't just immediately say, but it was a very interesting broadcast, and they mentioned that the European, the authority for that actually approved the stinks only approved them for individual use, and it wasn't meant to protect others. Here in the Netherlands, and I'm sure in other countries as well, you're doing it for someone else, you're doing it so they are protected. And so that was an emphasis, a lot of guilt tripping, and that was completely wrong. That was mentioned in the broadcast. Also, there was a oh my God, I'm sorry. I'm just, oh my. I already was very, in the Dutch video, certain words, I just couldn't come up with it. It's just a very strange energy, a lot of misunderstandings and things like this. Statisticus, I think is that the Dutch word, or someone that works with statistics. I think that's the word, and I'm sure someone will put what it's called, but right now it's just a little bit tired, I guess. But someone that works with statistics showed a statistic that immediately after the round of new stinks, there was the mortality rate would go up. So it's pretty obvious to see. So things like that were mentioned. There was also someone that actually had damage from the stings. She, within 24 hours from her first sting, she had all these issues. She talked about, of course, how do you say this? There is here organization, or like they keep up with all the damages. LAREP it is called. And how confusing they are, and LAREP wouldn't take on all the damage that was done, and they would make it sound different than it was. It was very interesting to hear about that as well. So of course this is not the thing we all, the people that have been talking about this for such a long time want to hear completely. It is still a little bit on the soft side, but a lot of people have not heard about this. This is the first time they hear about this, and this was on Dutch television. So it's very important to understand that this was broadcasted on the Dutch media. So it's not an alternative media, it's the media itself. I think that's an enormous step in the right direction, and more things will be coming out. Also in the British Parliament, they had these experts talking about the stinks, also Dr. Malone, and more people, and a lot of members of the British Parliament joined and Lords to listen to this, and he was talking really about all the numbers and things like that. So things are changing, things are really changing, and more things about the stinks are coming out. And in this video I want to take a look first of all to the USA, the energy there. They are trying to move the impeachment ahead. So I saw an article about Jim Jordan reveals potential timeline for bringing impeachment articles against Mr. B. So a lot of things are happening there as well, and much more than that. But I just want to take a look at the energy of the USA and about this impeachment and Mr. B. To be very honest, I'm very happy in a way he hasn't been replaced yet, because really, if you see all the things coming out, nobody wants to vote him. It's like, oh, the dumbest things are coming out right now, and I think it's done on purpose, but it's just how to run yourself into the ground, so to speak. But let's just see what the energy is for the USA. We've got the 5 of Wands. There is a lot of fighting in a way going on. We've got the 9 of Cups. That is interesting. we have the Queen of Pentacles. We've got the Wheel of Fortune under the Nine of Cups. We've got the Star for the future and the Two of Pentacles. And I keep looking at the Judgment card. So this is waking up. This is waking people up. And there is still some struggle going on what they're going to do. Are they going to keep him around for a while? Because really he's doing a fine job of getting people behind Mr. T, to be very honest. But there is something else going on as well. So I do think ultimately Mr. B will leave. Things are put into motion, the Wheel of Fortune. And I see hope and more balance coming ahead for the USA. So I do believe ultimately Mr. B will probably leave the scene. I've been talking about that for a while now. We know it's going to end. But right now, like I said, he's doing a fine job creating chaos and things like that. But I think ultimately he will leave. And for the USA, there are better days ahead, especially with the Star. There's going to become more balance. But it's right now in a very chaotic time, which is necessary. It's to wake up people, to really show people what's going on, what's happening. And this is just unfortunately necessary to get people now waking up, or at least give them the opportunity to wake up. So there's a lot happening in the USA. I see a lot of changes happening here, but for the good. Changes will happen for the good ultimately. Even at the moment it may not seem that way, but it will lead ultimately to a completely different future. So a lot of things are happening there, but I do believe that Mr. B will leave the stage. And I think they might bring in someone else. But right now, there are some things going on. But I don't think he'll be in there for very long. That's the feeling I'm getting. The other thing I wanted to take a look at was something I saw today. That apparently the Turkey president announces that the prime minister in Israel will be tried as, yes, you heard it, he will be tried as someone who's done awful things. So Erdogan is really pushing things now. So I just want to take a look at that. What is the energy behind that? And Mr. N, of course, the Prime Minister of Israel. What is going on here with this energy and what's going on? Let's see. We've got the Hanged Man. So right now it's standing still. But white hat. This is a white hat action. The Queen of Wands. We have the Tower in the past. Well, a lot of things happened there. Death card, the ending of something. Well, this is the end of probably Mr. N, who's going to try to get away with things. We've got the Seven of Swords, but he's not going to go anywhere because, again, white hats. So this is really where the white hats are taking over and pushing things more and more. And I do believe that this will be the end of Mr. N, and everything that's happening around him will ultimately end with him. He will try to get away, but he won't, because he'll be facing the white hats. So he's not going to go anywhere. And that's why I think the president of Turkey is in a way working along with the white hats to announce this. So this is also a seed planted in the heads of people that this can happen. Right now it's still standing still, so it's not like they're going to be immediately action taken, but it's all falling apart. And they will try to get away with things with the Seven of Swords in the near future, but ultimately that's not going to happen. They won't get away with anything. So this feels like a white hat action, or at least when he's announcing that, the Turkish president. But this will happen. But they're still trying to get away with things, but it's not going to work. It's ending. The ending is already set in the Middle East, in what's happening there with Israel. And of course, there's been a lot of awful things and still happening. Although, like I said, I'm not sure sometimes with what we're seeing if that's still actually happening or if it's already happened. Doesn't matter. It's awful things and it really needs to stop. But ultimately, so right now it doesn't seem like there's going to be an action taken, but it will. And this is from the white hats, and it's also a warning that this is going to come. So this is what I got for the information, at least the energy around that. I'd like to leave it at this, and I hope to see you in another video. Bye.